0 Hun. Christian Horner's future in racing is still really unclear, but things Toto Wolff said about him maybe working for the FIA have gotten people talking. Of course, Christian's personality and charm make him fit in well with other team bosses on the racetrack, but what could really happen for the former Red Bull team boss? And more importantly, does he still belong in F1 as a team boss, part team owner, or some other big job with one of the new teams starting in 2026? We have lots to learn about Christian. You're 35. Horner's future, but what's totally sure is that he won't be away from Formula One for very long. The British guy is working really hard to come back, and several teams have shown they want him, starting with Alpine. The team based in Enstone has all the right things to make Horner want to join their plan. Well, it is 45. But some things Toto Wolff said have made us think in new ways. The team boss of Mercedes said that Horner could be trying to get a job with the FIA. Sure, he was kind of joking, but when you've been competing against Christian for 20 years, you pick your words very carefully. And just because Wolff was sort of kidding about this, it doesn't mean it couldn't really happen. 120. The thing is, the chances of Horner taking a job like that don't match what we know about him. Talking more about his former co-worker's future, Wolff said, "In some ways, yes, I will miss Horner. He was one of the main characters. I don't think he's gone for good. He could show up doing something else. I need to be careful." 140. He could end up working for the FIA, and then, I'm really in big trouble. He was someone who caused arguments, split people's opinions, and wasn't boring. That was good for making things exciting, and from that side, he will be missed. His record of winning speaks for itself. Let's be honest, a job with the FIA is possible, but it's definitely not at the top of Horner's wish list. 205. It's not that he isn't a strong and experienced F1 leader. Actually, that's the good thing about this situation. Stefano Domenicali used to be a team boss of Ferrari back in 2014, and now he's the president of the sport. If anything, Horner can use all of his experience and help guide the sport in the right way from a more office job level of control. 229. But will he want to do it? Probably not. As a man who's always been out there fighting for his drivers and on the front lines, Horner's place is with other F1 team bosses. We've seen him going out during the 24 season and trying to get rid of Verstappen's 5-second penalty. How many team bosses do you know that would fight for their drivers like that? The choices are there. 253. Alpine really needs an experienced leader, whether that would be as a team boss or part team owner. And things do seem to be changing at the Enstone-based team. Even though a lot of hope was put in Flavio Briatore, it looks like he won't have as much time to prove himself as a real leader. 3-12. But for the Horner-Alpine deal to work, the French team needs Briatore. He and Christian are old friends, and I don't think that without Flavio a deal would happen. But if you look at things in a more fair way, you'd understand that Alpine without Briatore and with Horner could be a project that really works. 333. The same problem that Horner's old team and his possible next one have is the second driver. There seems to be lots of headaches when it comes to finding someone who would fit with the tricky parts of the car. You might ask yourself, what does Horner have to do with this? But if you listen to Helmut Marko's words, it would make a lot of sense. 355. Christian wasn't fired because of the fights inside the team as much as the bad performance and the team getting worse, in which is led by the technical director Pierre Wachet and head of aerodynamics Enrico Balbo. They work directly under Horner's. 736. From this point of view, it looks like both sides would be in a win-win situation if they decided to work together. Horner needs a comeback project, something to prove his worth again and show the critics that all of Red Bull's success hasn't been just pure luck. Alpine needs an experienced leader who has a proven record of fixing broken teams and getting them back to winning. So, at this point I really believe that we're only waiting for the announcement from both sides. As even Pierre Gasly said, that we haven't seen the last from Horner yet. Talking more about who could be the potential part owner of his team, or maybe even a team boss, Gasly said, "You can only respect all the success with the team, and what he's done with Red Bull Racing over there is very remarkable and very impressive." 825. He is very, very good at what he's been doing with the team. I'm sure we are going to see him somewhere, because with that kind of experience and skills, I am sure some teams will be interested in Christian. With all this in mind, what do you think about the potential scenarios for Christian Horner outside of the Red Bull family? And more importantly, do you believe that he has a real chance to become a part owner of Alpine? Let us know in the comments below. 853. And once you do that, make sure to click on the video that appears on your screen right now. Control. And if the results aren't there, then I think it's the team boss and the CEO who need to take responsibility for it. 418. You either fire them or pay the price for trusting that they could do the job right. Either way, Horner should be careful about making that same mistake again at Alpine. That is, if he signs a contract with the Enstone-based team. A move to Ferrari has been ruled out because the Maranello-based team is continuing their relationship with Vasseur, and I don't see him working well with Honda and Newey again at Aston Martin. 443. Though you can never say never when Lawrence Stroll is involved, Juan Pablo Montoya, a 7-time race winner, is sure that Christian will come back to Formula One. But under what conditions, that is still unknown. Talking more about this, Montoya said, "If Christian gets the chance, he'll come back." 505. Whether he wants to or not, we don't know. With everything that happened and the money Red Bull must have given him, he has enough money forever. Maybe part of the deal was that he can't work in F1 again. That's the only thing that would stop him. But if I were running a team like Aston Martin, Cadillac, Alpine, or Haas, I'd hire him in 2 seconds. 525. They found good drivers in Bottas and Perez. But when it comes to leadership, they're missing a lot. If they can get Horner to join their project, that would be amazing. But considering he'd have to work with Perez, it's interesting to see whether these two would get along. The former F1 driver, Robert Dornbos, really believes that we're going to see Christian Horner in Formula One sooner rather than later, and that his place is not sitting on the sidelines. 553. However, Dornbos shared what many people already strongly believe. Horner's position is not in the FIA, but with other team bosses on the racetrack. Talking more about this, Dornbos said, "I don't see him going back to a job at the FIA. I can see him trying again as a team boss. When you win 8 drivers and 6 constructors' championships, there is a certain level of wanting to compete that you reach that you just kind of get addicted to." 622. If you asked Horner directly, I think he would see Formula One as a sport where the main people like himself, Wolff, and Vasseur should stay on the battlefield, and not go into business mode in the FIA. They would be right to ask for something like that. But the doors that Horner currently has open for him are a bit risky in terms of what he could gain from his move. 645. Even if he joined Alpine, where would that put him as a leader? Let's say that he becomes a team boss at the very least. He would have to guide Gasly and Colapinto if the Argentinian stays beyond 2025 with a Mercedes-powered engine. Yes, he's been in the sport for 20 years and has gone through good times and bad times with Renault and Honda, but he's never had experience with Mercedes engines, except for losing to them from 2014 to 2020. 716. It goes without saying, Horner could push more towards the buying option of Alpine's share, 20% for around $300 million. That is a big amount of money to pay, but Alpine is a team that got huge investments from Hollywood superstars. So even though they are dead last in the Constructors' Championship, they have a lot of hope for the new rule.